time anybody's quoted that book. Okay. I need to start with a confession. I failed miserably in this quest. Because I thought when I started off, I thought, I know what I'll do something about the way in which people have triumphed over adversity, that we need successive failures before we can get success. And I thought I'll use a few case studies. I'll take politicians who've had a whole lifetime of adversity like Lincoln did, and I started doing the research, and I thought, they're a bunch of smart asses, really. So then I thought, maybe what I'll do is look at inventions that have come out as a result of failure. But I already did the post-it note at the previous Bettakultcha thing, so I thought I can't really do that either. So I wasn't quite sure what to do. But then actually I got more interested in the way in which people deal with failure. Because it seems to me that there's a kind of law about failure. That if you're a sort of close but no cigar failure, nobody's really that interested. But when you're an epic fail, then everybody likes you. Like this woman who went on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. She said an elephant was bigger than the moon. And everybody went, oh, bless. Well, this fella, Michael Fish, October 1987, you all know it. He said there categorically will not be a storm. That night we saw the biggest storm in the history of England. It created £2 billion worth of damage. And the nation took them to their hearts. Now, nobody else knows who else is a weather forecaster at that time, but everybody remembers Michael Fish. So I've boiled it down to there are kind of 3 principles about epic fails. So number 1, being right is overrated. There's 2 men with very big hair that I'm going to talk about. This first one, Donald Trump, probably you know him. World's most successful property developer. Probably never made a bad business decision in his life. But in 2012 he decided to run for president, and the whole of America looked at him and thought, twat. Now our guy, different story. I could spend 5 minutes just listing Boris's cock-ups and I still wouldn't get to the end of them. But when you see him dangling on a zip wire over the Olympic Park, exposing his crotch to the world, you think, yep, future Prime Minister. So being right is overrated. Secondly, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. We've got an education system which values compliance and correctness, but we've got business leaders that want people who are rebellious and creatively wrong. So, when this kid's asked to find X, and he goes, here it is, technically that might not be the right answer, but I'd give him a job tomorrow. Sometimes the questions are so dumb, the only possible response is to be creatively wrong. So take this one. Imagine that you lived at the same time as Abraham Lincoln. What would you say to him or ask him? What a stupid question. I'd tell him not to go to a play, ever. Good enough for me. This one's even stupider question. What's the strongest force on earth? Now, a philosopher said love, and she was marked wrong. Makes no sense. There's no such thing as a wrong answer. Third, the only difference between success and failure is the presence or absence of flair. So if you're going to design a motorised surfboard, which serves no purpose other than to get from one end of the park to the other, make sure you're wearing a pinstripe suit and a bowler hat. Top marks for flair. I don't know how many of these straw hat radios the inventor sold. I suspect not a lot. I would have bought one. But I hope he lived to be able to sue the arse of Sony, because what is the Sony Walkman other than a straw hat radio without any class? So, when Hugo Gernsback invented the isolator, he didn't sell a single one. The only difference between success and failure in this case was he was 80 years too soon. Because in today's modern office, which is filled with distractions due to social media, everybody would want an isolator. If you go in tomorrow and wear an isolator to work, your boss will love you. Be dead impressed. So, these are the 3 kind of principles behind being able to fail epically. So next time you're kind of faced with a risk, don't worry about what's going to happen if it works. Worry about how you're going to deal with failure. Make sure that if it's going to be a failure, it's going to be a failure of epic proportions. And make sure that if you fail with flair. Snowstorm masks. Admit it, you want one.